First of all, Madam President, I may owe you an apology. I had a little extra time on my hands, so I agreed to do this debate. I thought I would have the last 3 weeks to prepare, but it took a little more of my time. And I'm at a disadvantage. I listened to our worthy opponents. They come from one of the brightest universities. They spent weeks preparing, and they've done this before. Then I looked to my own team. Excellent job. A great California. My friend from the other side of the aisle, the ranking member of the Intel Committee. Jim went to Oxford. He went to Harvard. He knew what this was all about. Frank, I thought that was a stand-up act, but pretty good. Frank taught here. Not only could I not get into Oxford, I've never even watched one of these debates. So, Madam President, if I may, the one thing I like to do before I do anything, I want to know my audience. And I listened to them. I took notes, and I want to come back and understand what they were saying. But first, let me know the audience and understand why they said what they said. So let me ask you this question. Just by a show of hands, how many here, your first language is German? Okay. How many here, your first language is Russian? Okay. How many here, your first language is Japanese? Yeah. So how many here, your first language is English? You're welcome. I think the debate is over. This is the moment I drop the mic and sit down. But I listened. No, thank you. We all know American intervention is good. It's not perfect. Our nation is not perfect, but we strive to be a more perfect union. The great thing about with intervention, you're allowed to learn if you've done something wrong. But the great thing about America is we change. We take the tradition of the past and we apply it to a changing future. I listen to each and every one of them.
Point of information?
No, thank you. I will later. And I apologize. I didn't write down the names, but I wrote down what you said. My dear friend who went last, I tried to listen to you, but all I wrote down is you love Beyonce. And let's be honest, I thought he was more a Taylor Swift fan than Beyonce. Now really, a banana? A banana? How long have you had to prepare? A banana. I know Winston Churchill loved bananas, but I felt you slipped on that peel. When he made the argument, he made an argument. He named every single country in Latin America. You know what happened today while he was speaking? I will promise you this. People from every single country he named walked hundreds of miles and pulled over and crawled through fences to get to America that he just tried to discredit. Your argument fails from the very first time you tried to peel the banana. And my dear friend who went second, you know he stayed up late. He probably used ChatGPT to write that speech. But let's be honest. What really sent me on what I took wasn't what the written word said. It was the response to the questions. Remember the two questions? He holds up a book. All these interventions by America, but never looks within, even when you asked it. Then we had another question about America, but that's when it really came home. He discredited America, that we are just some old colony. That told us the real truth. He's really opposed to the first intervention of America for our own freedom from England. And to be truthful, you gave a nice speech, but I didn't find anything to write down, so no disrespect. But let's have an honest discussion. Because this is really the question we should ask. We are sitting in a time that is very similar to the 1930s. The name may not be Germany or Japan or Italy, but Iran, Russia, and China. They bound together with the same evil axis of power that we watched in history before. So I want you to think in your own heart, do you want America to stay home? Do you think it's evil that America is willing to send their aircraft carriers in a place so war won't begin? We've learned from appeasement for peace for our time does not work. The question you have to ask yourself, because everybody in the world will, peace without freedom is meaningless. Think for one moment. It is human nature that we all crave peace, but we never attain it unless we have freedom. In every single war that America has fought, we have never asked for land afterwards except for enough to bury the Americans who gave the ultimate sacrifice for that freedom we went in for. Welcome. But the basis of their definition is wrong. Intervention is not just military. You see, I believe the greatest strength of America is not the aircraft carriers, is not the precision weapons. America is more than a country. America is an idea. An idea that is powerful and created in the basis that we don't share it upon ourselves. The people crave it, and we want them to attain it. The point that I try to make here in a special time, I've watched even those in Britain, Margaret Thatcher. America's the friend of freedom everywhere, but only a custodian. The ultimate guarantor are the people to keep it. Yes, we will give our own lives for someone else to have freedom. Yes, we will risk for others. And I don't know how you pick somebody from the audience that in a University of Oxford that doesn't know what side they're on. But that's the definition. To think the basis that a campaign contribution that you can't give corporate money, and to just give you a fact, I live in the first house I ever purchased. I'm worth less today than when I entered. But that's the same sacrifice the men and women who don't get drafted, who volunteer on their own. But what I will tell you this, at no other time in the world, we shouldn't look just to America. We should take that same idea that I hope drives you about freedom, that same idea I hope that drives you about human rights. And you know what? I was opposed to how Afghanistan ended. And for his answer to say it didn't matter, the Taliban is still in charge, I will tell you, for every woman that was born in Afghanistan that is 21 years or less, they know what freedom means, and they won't stop being able to fighting for it. Thank you, and I welcome a greater debate.